Dwight Adams, how are you doing?
Great now that I have electricity in my home. As you know, we had a blackout last night. Well, kind of power outage for the last 2 nights actually. But yeah, we're good.
Yeah. How's your family?
Oh, they're doing well, man. Yeah, they're very. My son, who's 14, he's very ecstatic because he's able to get on his PlayStation.
Mm,
He's been looking forward to that for the last 2 days. So yeah, they're great, man.
I can't believe that your son is 14, man.
Yeah, man. He's 14. My daughter's 8, and she'll be 9 tomorrow.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, time is moving, man. It's fleeting too.
So we've known each other for a long time and played dozens and dozens of gigs together, recorded together, worked at Ohio State together, trained together. Um, yeah. So so after I took the job at Ohio State in '04, and I learned that you were the jazz trumpet instructor, which was uh, which was beautiful, which is a great thing. Not just because, okay, I'm in a situation where I get to play with, one of my best friends, and actually, honestly, a musical mentor of mine, someone that showed me some things, and it's always been encouraging. So that was a positive thing. So, but then the other thing was, uh, you were Mr. Michigan.
What's that?
So, for people that don't know, Mr. Michigan is a bodybuilding competition in the state of Michigan, and that's an open
Yeah,
competition, isn't
right.
it? Yeah,
Yeah.
and and you won. What was the year that you won in?
That was 2001. A long time ago.
2001.
2001, man. Can't believe it. The time moves so fast. It's like, wow. Yeah, man.
But in 2004, when I took the job, we started training together, and I had been, working out, training weightlifting since I was about 14.
Uh,
Um, but I basically, I took everything you had to show me, and to this day, a version of your workout is what I do. Yeah.
okay. I'm glad it benefited you. I kind of got a lot of that information from a IFBB pro bodybuilder.
Hmm.
Uh, oh, Darren Johnson. Like, yeah, yeah. He was my training buddy for a few years, and so I learned a lot from just hanging out with that guy. And,
Yeah.
yeah, he was the best. I think he's still training too. I haven't seen him in years. Darian Bonds is his name. That's it. That's it. Darian
Yeah.
Bond. Yeah,
But certainly in the bodybuilding and weight training side of things, you've been a tremendous influence on me, and then every time we play together with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, and every time we're in town, we try to at least get one in, and that's always been a cool thing.
absolutely, absolutely. Uh, yeah, I'm a glutton for punishment, man. It's like it's a love-hate relationship with training. Resistance training for me.
Mm.
I hate going to the gym, but when I get to the gym, once I get into the workout, I'm very happy that I'm there and suffering. You know what I mean? Yeah. But you release a lot of tension that way, and yeah, it's definitely helps you elevate in ways. Yeah.
One thing about your playing is you're such a strong player. You're very physical, and I can't help but think that the weight training had something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of resort to that type of playing because I didn't know how to play, I guess you would say, efficiently, because I never had like, formal lessons to be, to, it's just like bodybuilding. You do everything, if you do things with proper form, you stand less chance of hurting yourself or injuring yourself. You know what I mean? So you don't have to, if you got proper form, especially when it comes to like powerlifting, that kind of thing, your form is your friend. You know what I'm saying? That'll help you move the weight in the most efficient way as possible. And you don't have to beast the weight up to reach your goals. You know what I'm saying? But so the trumpet is kind of like that. I was kind of beasting my way, trying to make the horn do what I wanted it to do, because I didn't know the most efficient ways of doing it. You know what I mean? I'm still I consider myself a student of the trumpet. So I'm still learning on how to, play the instrument more efficiently. So I don't necessarily have to be so physical, if you will, when it comes to trying to get the horn to do what I wanted to do, what I needed to do. And that's make music.
So a while ago, now this had to be 5 years ago, at least. I was thinking about this. I was trying to track this. 4 or 5 years, and we sort of we had an arrangement, right? So I sent you a saxophone, and you sent me this trumpet, and this is your trumpet. And actually, I think that you were playing on this horn.
Yes.
On one of those projects that you recorded with me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
yep.
Yeah. So French Besson.
Yep.
And I have it here reminding me, so you're here in my studio, right beside where I'm sitting, as a reminder that we're supposed to be doing some Skype lessons or something.
That's right. Still hold you to that, man, because I need them bad, man, because my wife says I play too loud when I play the saxophone. She has to leave the house. I was like, I guess I got some work to do. So yeah, I really need those lessons like ASAP, as soon as possible.
Well, me too. I can I can get a note out and I know some of the notes on the instrument and stuff like that, but I really need some.
But first, right before the saxophone, right?
No, I played saxophone first. But as legend has it, well, it's not really legend. That just sounds more interesting to say that. It's just my dad. As he tells the story, when I was maybe 2 years old or something, I picked up a trumpet and I was getting a sound out of it or something.
Okay.
But many years after I had been playing saxophone, I picked the trumpet up again and I was like, hey, what's this about? My older brother played trumpet, and I was just kind of interested in the instrument, and I learned some stuff on the instrument, but then I was like, I don't want to do this. And then I just, I wish I didn't do that. I wish I stuck with it. But, my thought was like, after I finished this last degree, I was like, okay, now I have more time to like actually really devote to the instrument. So I've been spending a little bit of time trying to do it every day, just getting some long tones going and just playing some scales, mostly just chromatic scales, just trying to get familiar. But
absolutely, yeah. So you're on your way, man. So, I know when you picked up the guitar, I think 2 years later, man, it seemed like you had mastered the thing. So I'm scared to hear what you're doing on that trumpet, man. I think you can take all my gigs. I don't know. I have to do something about that. We're gonna have to. I don't know if I give you any lessons, man. That might be the wrong thing to do. That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
So he had it.
Okay, so yeah, you were talking about you should I was going to take your gigs. Of course, I'm not going to take any of your gigs. You're the great Dwight Adams. Uh, speaking, but speaking of some of those gigs, I mean, you play with Stevie Wonder.
Mm.
Can you talk a little bit about what that, how that whole thing happened, and what that experience is like?
Oh man, it's a wonder. To be honest with you, yeah, I asked myself, well, how did I end up here? But so back in 1998, Stevie's bassist for the last 40 years, he's originally from Detroit. He lives in LA now. His name is Nathan Watts. Anyway, Nathan moved back to Detroit for a brief spell to look after his parents, his mom especially. And that was, like I said, that was around 98. And at that time, Stevie was looking for a trumpet player. So Nate, being the, I guess you could say, MD, it was his job to, kind of help find that guy. So he reached out to his high school, his former high school teacher, who was Ernie Rogers. You remember Ernie Rogers in Detroit? Taught at Northwestern High School. You might
Okay, okay.
Yeah, he reached out to Ernie Rogers. He's a saxophonist, played on that Parliament and Funk and Gutted stuff. Anyway,
right.
So he reached out to Ernie and said, Ernie, I need a trumpet player, and I had just recently been working with Ernie, on a few things, and so I was fresh in his mind. So he's like, yeah, I got just the guy for you. So he gave him my number. So I get a call from Nathan. He said, this is Nathan Watts. And, yeah, bassist Stevie Wonder. Of course, I knew who Nathan Watts was. I've been following him probably since I could remember. And I knew exactly who he was. And he's like, got a gig for you. And I think it was 3 weeks, and we're going to South Africa, Nelson Mandela's 80th birthday celebration. Are you available to do the gig? Some youngster, like, what? Is this a joke? I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, yeah, I'm available. And he goes, okay. What I need you to do is I need you to get this live album. What was the name of that album? Jeez, I can't think of the name. Anyway, it's a live album that Stevie did, probably back in the early '90s, and it was while they were in tour of Japan and whatnot. So he was like, "Well, get that record and learn everything on the record by ear. And we'll see you in 3 weeks." So, right. Oh, okay, the name of that album is called The Natural Wonder. That's the name of it. But so I was like, okay, I guess I can do that. So that was the story, man. And so I did a kind of a crash course, of trying to learn that music, and hopped on the plane and went to South Africa, and did the best I could. I didn't write any cheat sheets, I just kind of, everything probably knows most of those horn lines, everybody knows them, it's mostly pentatonic stuff anyway, so, but, just doing the forms of some of those tunes and making sure I put things in the right place, so, it's probably about 75% correct, the stuff that I played on that gig, but, and after that, I guess I fared well, because I kept, he kept calling me back to do more dates, so I was like, he just kept calling me back, but cool, I'm glad to be back. So, next thing I know, it's 2 years and gone by, and I'm, still doing the gig here and there. So I'm like, okay, well, this is just icing on the cake. Then probably in the third year, he was like, Stevie came to me, was like, yeah, that stuff that you playing on, this tune, that tune. And I've been playing this stuff for 3 years because it's off the live album. He goes, yeah, don't play that. Play the stuff that's on the original recording. So I had to go back and relearn all of the music again, from the original cuts. So that was a lot of fun. But yeah, man, it's just been a blessing, to share the stage with somebody that great, and have the best seat in the house pretty much. You know what I mean? And yeah, I look at it as a blessing for the Most High because there's a million guys that could do that job 10 times, 100 times better than I can, but somehow I ended up on it. So yeah, man, that's my story, man. I'm sticking to it.
It's interesting. I interviewed Jeff Coffin, great saxophone player, and he told a somewhat similar story about getting the Dave Matthews Band gig,
Mhm.
where somebody called him, said, "Hey, you want to do this gig?" And and it was a very short period of time, and he had to learn all of this music by ear, from all these recordings, and then and there's like pressure associated with that because Dave Matthews Band, and even much more so Stevie,
Yeah,
his music, everybody knows that music, and so there's some pressure associated with playing this stuff correctly because the audience is going to know, you
oh,
know
they know.
and and that's it's an interesting thing. It's a testament to great musicianship, and in particular having spent so much time developing your ear so that you'd even be able to
Right,
absorb that quantity of material in that amount of time.
right, right.
um, uh, it makes me curious uh, what has been your approach to practicing. Like, what kinds of things do you work on, and what are some things that you're doing to develop your ear?
Hmm. Uh, I do well. Of course, there's some technical things that I have to stay up on. Just to have a somewhat command of the instrument. So I have, some things that I have in my practice regiment, working out of, say, the Arborist Method book and the Clark studies. I kind of make that a staple of my practice. And as far as developing my ear, uh, I kind of have a few different aids, apps. Actually, I think I told you about one. The test. I don't know. I shouldn't give out. I don't want to promote things on your channel though. But
Oh no,
I
that's
told.
cool. That's cool. I mean,
Uh,
if there's a name of an app or something that you think would help folks, that's cool.
well, I mean, you could maybe and may not, but the Testatura Pro app,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
I told you that, and just doing a lot of listening and of recordings and transcribing, not necessarily by writing out transcriptions, but just trying to get certain things ingrained in my head. Um, Listening to different soloists, especially pianists. You
Hmm.
know, yeah, you would think that I would listen to more, people who play the same instrument as me, but for like harmonic ideas and that type of thing. But I prefer to listen to pianists, who have a wide spectrum of harmony, like Mulgrew Miller, Herbie Hancock, of course, and there's a list of so many cats nowadays. So I just try to, because now I got the Apple Music app, get mad for saying that, but so I'm taking in everything, man. You know what I mean? And so if I hear something that piques my curiosity harmonically, I just, I go in and try to figure out what it is, and and explore it. And, you know, once I figure out the crux of what it is, you know, then I just try to manipulate it in as many ways as possible, just so I can get familiar with that type of sonority and how many different directions I can take it. You know, just like when, you know, when I hear you play, you know, you might play something that piques my ear, you know, and I gotta go, oh shoot. And you don't notice, but I'm always like, as soon as I hear you play, I go sneaking in the corner. I'm just like, okay, what was that? You know, I go and I try to break it down. Okay, I seem like that's related to this, and this is related to that. But you go all about chord scale, you know, relationships. So, you know, if I could, and then I just try to take it and, you know, just try to really expound on it in ways that I can, you know. And yeah, I think that's the basis of what I do. You know, just try to, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I
Yes,
mean, I've learned a bunch of stuff from you. Like I hear you play patterns, or you be working on something, and you're always real generous. I'll come up to you and say, "Hey, man, what is that?" One of those lines in particular is a diminished pattern. It's like a six note. It's like a six-note motive.
mm-hmm.
Da 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 ba da 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 ba da ba da do do. That
Oh,
business, you know. I got that from you. You showed that to me. I created a couple different versions, and I actually wrote a tune that was based on that. But you've been a source of a lot of inspiration, especially with different things I hear you playing, different patterns I'll hear you play, and you know, we have frequent conversations when we're performing, and that's always been a real bonus and a real
yeah.
real highlight. I mean, I always have such a good time playing with you. And it's not just because I think that the music is going to be at a certain level, and we know each other well enough to be able to play off of each other. So, I mean, you know, like we're not even thinking about it.
Yeah.
But I always know that there's going to be, you know, the conversation that we can have is also very, you know, it's like integrated into the music and to bodybuilding and to spirituality and all these different things. And, you know, being a black man in America, having kids, you know, you know, being married, all of that stuff, I just feel like it's, you know, it's like you're my big brother, you know.
Well, we got a lot on the ground, man. A lot of commonality, yeah, between the two of us. And yeah, I think that's why, you know, we like when you say like I'm your big brother, but I say like we be like Batman and Robin. I wish we could play together more often, though. You know, so we could really get to some stuff.
Yeah.
You know, but I'm sure that's going to happen in the near future.
Oops, I'm not
I
sure what
was going to
happened.
say, who's that?
That's
you?
really strange. That is,
Okay.
that was not me. That was mono neon.
Yeah, just
Some kind
listening.
of, yeah, some kind of way. Because I have this, I've got this computer. I have tried to tell it to keep the screen on no matter what.
Okay.
But for whatever reason, it thinks it needs to time out after a certain amount of time. So I've got the mouse from this computer is over here, and frequently I'm pressing it, but I can't really see what I'm clicking.
Oh, okay.
And so apparently it went over to that.
Oh no. I done.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Speaking of that, you're pretty eclectic. You find inspiration in a lot of different kinds of music styles and music. One thing about, you know, my time in Michigan, growing up in Michigan and spending a lot of time in Detroit. I'm not from Detroit, but I spent a lot of time in Detroit with you and Vincent Chandler and
Yeah,
Rodney
yeah.
Whitaker and all the folks. And
Fun times.
yeah, yeah. And one thing that I always noticed was that there was a lot of cross pollination. Yeah, that's what I'm pollinization. Yeah, and no pollen. I think it's pollinization. Yeah. But there was a lot of there's a lot of combining of different, like the same guys would be doing all these different kinds of gigs, R&B gigs, hip hop gigs, gospel gigs, rock and roll gigs, Motown gigs, all of this different stuff, jazz gigs, big band, small group, you know, there was just a lot of stuff going on. A lot of the same guys were involved in a lot of this different kind of stuff. Even folks like, I interviewed Ralph Armstrong, and he played in was it the Fox Theater orchestra or whatever, and so, and all the different things that he's been involved in doing. But that just seems like it's just like a regular thing in Detroit. And so when I moved away from Michigan, it actually took me a long time to kind of get used to the kind of lack of, this. It's pretty kind of artistically segregated, is the way I would describe it in Columbus.
Okay.
And I think it's gotten quite a bit better the longer I've been in Columbus, but it's still not like Detroit, where everybody's doing everything.
Right.
Can you talk maybe a little bit about how that has influenced your playing style?
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of grew up in a musical household. In my youth, I was raised by my grandparents and my uncle. He was a guitarist, and he started a rock band because he was more or less influenced by the music of Jimi Hendrix and Sly and the Family Stone. So that's what I heard, growing up in my house, and a lot of rock music, from the 70s and the 80s, and so yeah, I was exposed to all these different styles of music by him, because he was listening to everything. He was from the Headhunters to Box Skaggs and oh my goodness, the Doobie Brothers, and you know what I mean. So for me, it was like music was just, there was no labels, just all music.
Yeah.
For me, so and then you would read the back of the records, and you'll see that oh, wait a minute, that's Michael Brecker playing with some a rock band. I can't think of any names.
Right.
But you know what I'm saying. And then you see these jazz guys playing on some of these rock sessions, and you see the rock guys, jazz, So, but I didn't know the difference. It was just like, okay, well, yeah, that's what I want to do. I just want to make music. And then growing up in Detroit, Motown, the home of Motown music, as you already know, that the musicians who were on those sides, on those recordings, pretty much jazz musicians, or blues and jazz musicians. You know what I mean? So the thing was, if you were going to try to make a living as a musician in Detroit, you wouldn't just want to put all your eggs in one basket.
I trust that you've enjoyed the video so far. Please subscribe, comment, share, like, and also you can go over to my Patreon. The link is in the description if you'd like to further support. Thank you. Now back to the video.
I'm just going to play jazz and that's it. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to do, be able to do everything.
Yeah.
So So my thing was, okay, well, one of my mentors, Marcus Burberry, told me, I don't turn out no gigs. It's like, man, if you can, you should play, So yeah, so don't be a snob,
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, sure. It's the same 12 notes, so yeah. So I had to try to be just the word I'm looking for, to where I could cover all the areas of different styles of music, from rock to traditional jazz, fusion, uh, bluegrass. I have some bluegrass. I've done it all, man. But it's always been a challenge, to play in different styles, and I've watched other people, my mentors do it and do it well. So I had some pretty good influences on how to do it, how to go about doing it. Marcus Belgrade, as I mentioned, that was one of them. Yeah, still doing it
Yeah.
to this day.
Yeah. Of course, at heart, I'm a jazz musician. Um, but I don't know. I don't know that I've really felt a necessity to define myself.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of growing up in Michigan, and I think at one time, like as I was getting into college, my first couple of years in college, I was kind of a purist. It's like, I just want to play straight ahead.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that really changed pretty quickly, and I kind of returned to, all of the music that I was listening to when I was a kid.
Right.
The hip hop and R&B and gospel music, and all of those power ballads, those '80s power rock ballads. All of that stuff it's in my ear. It's stuff that it's stuff that influences my playing.
Yeah, certainly.
And my writing. The composing is like totally a mixed bag of stuff. And the kinds of situations that I find myself in writing, sometimes are writing for singers, sometimes are writing for, small group, instrumental stuff, sometimes it's big band stuff, sometimes it's orchestral stuff, sometimes I'm writing for, more of like a rock kind of based thing, sometimes it's more gospel stuff. It's kind of all over the place, and it keeps it interesting. So it's not.
Yeah. Yeah. When we listen to Stevie Wonder, the great Stevie Wonder band, you can tell he's kind of a jazz head, but not solely. So you listen to his music, you can hear all the different influences in his music. Even from the country, just like Ray Charles. Ray Charles is another one.
Yeah.
Yeah, he could bop, but he can also go, country on you, and make it believable. So yeah, I always thought that's how we also should be.
I think one thing that's interesting is, or one thing that actually facilitates this sort of flexibility, the ability to kind of go between different styles of, of music, of black music, is that it all comes from the same place.
Right.
And you said the thing about, it's the same 12 notes. Well, it's also the same sort of aesthetic that sort of has been used several different ways.
Yeah.
And if you can tap into what that aesthetic is, what that root is, then it can make you, very flexible. I mean, you can develop a skill set that's flexible enough to accommodate, any kind of pop music, and then all of those other styles and subsets that we discussed.
Right. Yeah, I always felt that the root, or at least one of the roots, is the blues.
Yeah.
I'm saying if you can truly deal with the blues, man, it can kind of get you out of any situation. That's how I look at
Hmm.
it. You know what I'm saying? If you know how to when to place the notes, you know, the phrasing, that kind of thing, which is that can be a language within itself, but within the context of blues, man, I didn't lose my way out of a lot of different situations that I never expected myself to be in musically. You know what I mean? Like, okay,
Hmm.
let's see. Matter of fact, I was in Columbus, just before the COVID thing, and I went to a place, what's it, Dick's Den. You know, they got a bluegrass night, and the
Oh
owner,
yeah.
man, he's been begging me for the last 2 years. Like, I need you to, you know, come down here and play. So who was that? One of the trumpet players was being featured with the Columbus Jazz Orchestra, Benny Benack. You
Oh
know, he was
yeah.
in, then he wanted to go down there, man. So, man, we went down there. It was the bluegrass night, man. We had a blast. Oh my goodness! I say, here I am playing bluegrass, and I'm really enjoying this. I would say, I don't know if I should tell everybody.
Right, right.
That's right. But I think I'm about to come back, man. You know what I'm saying? It really helped me. I was like, oh man, it's got me dealing with the key of E. You know, I gotta, yeah, I'm glad because I have to,
Yeah.
yeah, those keys, E and D. It's like, oh yeah, yeah, this is what I'm talking about. Makes me go in a different direction, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, well, I think you should be like chameleons in music. You know? I think one helps the other. Being able to play one style can help you play another style, and I go help each other in ways.
Yeah. One thing I talk to my students about, uh, when we're talking about pursuing a degree in jazz studies,
Mm-hmm.
jazz studies is not just about learning how to play bebop. Now, that's in there, and
Yeah,
that should be in there.
yeah,
Learning really how to play bebop and really how to address, uh, playing your instrument well and accommodating all of the, uh, you know, all of the stuff that you need to be able to do to play bebop well. Um, that's gonna that's gonna translate very well to, in particular, any kind of social music. So any kind of pop music, any kind of improvised music, and that's everything. That's everything. Um, um, so studying jazz actually is maybe the most direct path to actually developing this flexibility to be able to play all of these different styles.
absolutely, totally agree with that. Yeah, I always ask. I say, man, I don't know where I'd be if I wasn't, somewhat versed in the language of jazz or bebop per se, you know. But another thing that helped me was, being around Marcus Belgrave and Charlie Gabriel. You know, they made me deal with the earlier periods of jazz. You know
Mm.
what I mean? That really helped me find the roots.
Yeah.
See how this is all. It's really connected to that, to the roots of the music. So I was like, okay. Because I started out, I just wanted to be a bopper, man, bebop, and then
Yeah.
Marcus and Charlie Gabriel. You know Charlie Gabriel,
I don't
saxophone.
think so.
Charlie, well, he lives in New Orleans now, but he's originally from New Orleans, but he lived here in Detroit for many years, and he moved back to New Orleans about 10 years ago. Amazing clarinetist, saxophonist, but yeah, he was like, man, you got to go around and play something that's, just this traditional, as he called it, this traditional music. And man, I was really green starting out. Like, man, yeah, don't, because I was more or less trying to play on the upper extensions of the chord. Like, no, you can't. I mean, but Well, you can play on the upper extensions of the court, but you can't necessarily like really develop, or stay up there, or in the upper extensions, the altered portions of the court. You don't want to spend too much time dealing with that when you're playing the traditional jazz. But it's a language, a whole nother language too, rhythmically too. But makes you have to play a lot simpler in ways. But it can be complex at the same time.
Right.
But man, that was fun. But that's probably why I enjoyed playing the bluegrass, because that was like really close to that. I felt.
Well, a bluegrass banjo player is playing bebop.
Mm-hmm.
Those lines are there's all the chromaticism and everything that's happening. It's bebop. I mean, it's very, very closely related to and influenced by bebop.
Yeah, certainly.
Yeah.
I don't know why. I hope I don't lose you here, man. My battery somehow, I got it plugged up here, but it's saying I got 5%. So I don't know. This thing must really use a lot of use.
All right.
Okay.
Well,
if I
we'll
call you back on my cell phone.
Okay.
If that happens.
All right.
Yeah.
So you talked about Marcus Belgrave, who have been some trumpet players in particular. I mean, you said that you listen to keyboard players and things for inspiration.
Mm-hmm.
But who have been some trumpet players that have been, have been influential, in your playing?
Yeah. But other than Marcus, man, it's such a long list, and I don't want to put them in any particular order, but what comes to mind now is the great Kenny Dorham. Yeah. Of course, we all love Miles. We all love Freddie. We all love Clifford Brown. And but there are some other guys who kind of fall under the radar, that I dig a lot, like Blue Mitchell. Man, it's a long list. Red Rodney. Yeah. Charlie Shavers, Roy Eldridge. Did I mention Woody Shaw already?
No.
Oh yeah. Woody, one of the hippest of them all. Woody Shaw. Woo-hoo. And I mean, I even like a lot of the young guys coming up too, man. I dig, for instance, Sean Jones, Kellen, of course, Nicholas Payton, one of my favorites. Who can I think of now? Keon Harrell. You know Keon Harrell? Yeah, monster, man. Mike Rodriguez, young cats. Of course. Winton. How can I leave Winton out? Yeah. Winton's always been a big inspiration for me. I remember when I first started playing, about 2 years into playing the trumpet. That's when I heard. That's when Winton burst on the scene, and I remember hearing him and thinking to myself, man, do I want to pursue this, because this cat here, man, is doing stuff on the trumpet. I ain't heard nobody technically.
Oh yeah.
I think he was just 18 at that point. I was like, wait a minute, I'm close to being 18. I couldn't see myself playing like that. I was like, wow, I got some work to do. But man, it's a long list, but I can go on and on. Is that a name enough?
Oh no! It's just nice to hear, who some of those influences are, and for folks that are watching.
Yeah.
I always like it when artists are willing to share who they actually really dealt with and who they really dig and are actually dealing with, rather than sort of giving some sort of generic stuff, that they think that they're supposed to say,
Yeah.
and or not really being generous with information and just not being willing uh, to share that.
Yeah.
Every time we talk, it seems like you're bringing up some new cat that you've listened to, or some new record or something, and that's always, that I mean that's always been,
Yeah.
encouraging to me, but it's always been like it's been an influence, because anything that you say you're checking out, I always go check it out.
Oh, yeah, man.
I got to do that.
There's a lot to check out, I heard some folks say, jazz is dead. But I'm like, man, I beg to differ, because I keep, cats are bursting on the scene like on a daily. From what
Yeah.
if you look deep enough, you dig, you see, man, cats is out here putting out, some great music. Yeah. Maybe not necessarily making a lot of money doing it, but they're being creative. That you can't kill that spirit, that creative spirit. Yeah, even Chris Johnson's killing, man. Chris is tearing it up.
Yeah.
Yeah, writing, trumpet playing, he's consummate musician. So yeah, man. As a matter of fact, you on that part. I just recently saw something with you on it with Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I've done a couple of those the multicam videos that he's done, like with his big band, which he's a great writer, a great arranger, and he's a fine teacher.
Yeah,
and he's of course, I interviewed him for this same series.
Yeah.
But,
here's something else, man.
So why did you decide to be a musician? Like, what was there, like an epiphany? Was there a moment that was like, okay, this is it? I mean, did the clouds open up in like a ray of light? what was the moment that you knew?
Well,
I am stuck with music. When did you know that?
Well, like I say, I grew up with music in the household, so I've always loved music, and I was always around music and musicians. One day, when I was entering high school, my younger brother, who was 2 years younger than me, he brought home a saxophone.
Mm.
And seemed to garner a lot of attention from my family members, because you had the saxophone. I was just thinking to myself, man, I want to play an instrument. So I was thinking, like, man, that saxophone's got too many buttons. I don't want to play that. But I can remember my uncle had bought a trumpet home, a few years prior to my brother bringing the saxophone home, and I remember I said, well, that's only got 3 buttons. Okay, so I didn't give it any thought after that. And then, one year, I was walking through the halls of my high school, and I walked past the band room, and I just happened to peek in. It didn't look like there was anybody in there, but I could see there were instruments, cages against the wall or whatever, so looking through there, and then the teacher popped out somewhere, band director, and he was like, can I help you? And I was like, no, I was just looking at the band room. I was like, yeah. And he was like, do you play instrument? You say you play instrument? I was like, I was about to say no, but I lied. I said, yeah. And he said, yeah, what do you play? And I was like, oh, shoot. Why did I say yes? It's because I wanted to play an instrument, but I was just, yeah, I play. I was thinking, he's like, what did you play? I was thinking, okay, well, what can I say that I play that's can be easy to play. So I was thinking about the trumpet. I was like, well, that's only got 3 buttons. So, so I was like, yeah, play the trumpet. He said, oh, you play trumpet? I was like, yeah. He said, oh. He's like, come in, come on in. Step in the bedroom. And I was like, okay. And he's like, we got a trumpet. We got some trumpets. And one of the students walked in, and he's like, well, Brian, go pull out one of those trumpets. So he pulled the trumpet out, brought the trumpet over to me, and had the mouthpiece in, and he's like, go ahead, man, you play something. Let me hear you play something. I was like, oh man, this cat want me to play. What I'm gonna do now? So I was like, okay, you want me to play? I was like, okay. So I'm thinking, oh, I think this goes in here. Put that in there.
Right.
Put that. I know you're supposed to put it to your lips, and I went and somehow I got a sound out the doggone thing. So, but I was like, oh, I forgot. Yeah. Oh man, I forgot the fingers. He's like, oh, okay. Well, I tell you what, you come back and we help you out. So anyway, I went back. Time later that day, and one of the students, we went to the practice room, and he told me to go see my counselor and asked me if I wanted to sign up, to be in the band, be in the marching band. So I was like, yeah, of course. And so, okay, we'll see a counselor, and get you signed up. So yeah, I ended up signing up to be in the marching band, man. So yeah, I was in. It was that easy. I was like, man, that was kind of easy. I really don't even know how to play. But anyway, they gave me an instrument to take home. Gave me a book. So I just took to it. Lemay had a little lamb, and I was like, oh man, that was kind of fun. All those little nursery rhymes and that kind of thing. And yeah, the trumpet just kind of grew on me real fast. So after that, I transferred over to another high school here in Detroit, and got in the concert band, and and started practicing as much as I thought I should, and I seemed to kind of have a little knack for playing the instrument. And then around that time, I heard Clifford Brown on the radio. We had a 24-hour jazz station called WJZZ here in Detroit, and and one of the DJs was actually a trumpet player, so he would play all these trumpet players, and that was like school for me, because I got to hear all these guys, at once, all in one day, pretty much. I heard what Maynard Ferguson sounded like. I heard what Freddie Hubbard sounded like, and I heard what oh man, all these great trumpet players that he would play on his show. And my high school started a jazz band or a jazz program, and yeah, so I was smitten by the jazz bug by that time. By the time I, hit 10th grade, bro, I was like, okay, I like this, and I remember during the summer, we had a summer youth program that I got involved with, and they actually paid us, through the city to be involved with this summer youth, in the summer youth program. And in the program, it was a big band. It was like a cultural arts program, so I signed up to be in the band. And so there was a guy named Teddy Harris who actually ran the band, and Teddy Harris was he played saxophone and the piano, and he was also the MD for the Supremes of the Motown fame, So we would play his handwritten charts and that kind of thing, and man, I was really happily involved with that, during the summer. That just kept me going. And I think around that time I met Marcus Belgrave, who came to my great trumpeter, Marcus Belgrave, who came to my high school, and with his big band and played, and you know, just standing there. I mean, just seeing that and hearing that and feeling that, you know, that electricity from that big band, you know, just sent all this positive energy through me, you know, to feel those frequencies. It was different than just listening and hearing it on the radio. So actually being in the room with all of that, you know, it's like, oh man, this is awesome. You know, I want to do this, you know. So I continued playing and eventually went to Kentucky State, you know, to continue my studies. And then, but I kind of dropped out after high school. But, you know, still listening to the music and, you know, wanted to play badly, but not didn't really have a lot of direction, you know, as to what I should be doing. But I continued to play, but I kind of caught some backlash from my family members, like, well, you know, because it's like, we need to put that horn down and go get a job. So, you know, go get a real job. So anyway, I was kind of doubting myself for a while, man. So I actually stopped playing for about 5 years. So, but I thought I was done, you know. It was like, but you know, I was still attracted to the music, jazz especially. You know, still listening and still buying records and that kind of thing. But I thought my playing days were done. But I couldn't get rid of the desire to play.
Mm.
You know, it's like that just stuck with me, man. I couldn't get rid of it, so I was just like, with some encouragement from one of my grandmother. She was, you know, she encouraged me that I should be playing, you know, the trumpet. You know, that I had talent. She thought I had talent, so I figured, okay, well, I guess I need to honor my grandmother. You know, pursue it again. Pursue my instrument. So I picked the instrument up again. I had a day job at that time, you know, but I was like, okay, well, this is what I'll do. I'll work my day job, and then I'll practice 2 hours, you know, either an hour before I go to my day job and 2 hours when I get home, and then, you know, I'll hit the jam sessions. And so, you know, I did that, I guess, for about a year. And then, of course, I would run into, you know, all my mentors, the great Larry saxophonist, Larry Smith, James Carter, Cassius Richmond, and, you know, Marcus Belgrave, Bob Hurst. You know, and these guys would, like, encourage me, like, you know, telling me, like, man, you need to really get serious, you know, about your instrument, man, you know, because you can play. You know, you just come on and Marcus would say, come on and take some of these gigs, man. So, you know, that was really encouraging for me to hear that from somebody of his status. You know, I was like, okay, well, and I remember him telling me one time, man, you know, he's like, man, you know, you want to play, you know, you come on and play, you can make it. You can make it in this thing, man. You know, you might not get rich, but you can survive. So I was like, well, that's all I want to do. I just want to play, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, if I can sustain myself, I don't have no wife and kids, anything. So, you know, yeah, why not? And that's what I did, man. And next thing I know, you know, my phone started ringing and, you know, started getting work and that kind of thing. And I just kept at it. You know what I'm saying? And next thing I know, I end up on stage with an icon for like 20-something years. Still, you know, yeah. I know it's
Yeah.
a story, but it's hard to put that in a nutshell, all that stuff.
Oh, no, 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 no. I thank you for sharing all of that. You know, the music thing. Um, I mean, I would be miserable. I would be totally miserable without music. I just try to think of. I try to think of. There's nothing. There's nothing that exists in my life. Nothing positive that didn't come because of music. that's the. I mean, every pathway has been paved
Yeah.
by music. Everything, and uh, I'm stuck with it. You
Mm.
know, like if I tried to stop playing, I think it would just keep calling me back, and I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to get away from it.
Yeah.
Um, and so I'm not surprised that you had that experience when you tried to stop,
Mm.
that it just kept calling you. Um, and it's an interesting thing with several folks that I've interviewed uh, for this series. Um, that whole, just the sense that music has kind of called us, and we kind of have to obey. We kind of have to, you know, we
Yeah.
have to kind of
Yeah.
do what it says.
Well, yeah.
No.
You'll be tormented. But no, got to be a better way. So let's see what happens. Let me try it again. See what happens. Yeah.
But yeah, that's a really inspirational story, man.
Oh.
Um, uh, so can you talk a little bit maybe about some plans you have for the future? I mean, we hit this quarantine and everything got jammed up, all the gigs dried up, and everything like that. But
Yeah.
do you have some projects that you're looking towards? Some things that that are on the horizon? Maybe some things that you're working on.
Uh, well, I have yet to put out a project of my own at this point, so that's definitely in the works. And I've also been collaborating with drummer Ali Jackson of from the Lincoln Center
Oh
fame.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So me and him been getting together and yeah, just building, man, musically, and working on some things for the near future. Once we figure
Mhm.
out an angle in this new norm, seems like
Yeah.
on what's the best way to get it out to the masses. Uh, yeah, but yeah, it's funny. Even though I enjoy playing, but I never wanted to be in the spotlight or to be a leader. I was really content with just, I guess you could say, being a side man. You know what I mean? I just wanted to play, man, just make music, but not necessarily. I didn't want to be the next, you know, uh, Miles Davis. I mean, like as far as being in, of course, I aspired to be play on that level, of course, but I never aspired to be, in the spotlight in that way.
Right.
You know, but but I know that it's probably important that I, because we all have to leave here, this planet at some point, and it's important. Not that I have a family, to leave a legacy and that kind of thing. So
Mm.
that's what's closest to me right now. That's what I need to be doing. I need to go ahead and put something out there in the universe.
And how about because one thing that we've talked about quite a bit is kind of personal development,
Yeah.
and some of that personal development has been physical development. So we talk about training and being in the gym and stuff like that.
Mm.
But some of that stuff that we've talked about has been sort of spiritual development.
Right.
And one thing that I have found in my own journey is that when I'm in the gym and I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing in the gym, and when my practice routine is together, and when my spiritual disciplines are together. What seems to happen is the stuff, it seems to be like a synergy, and it actually kind of builds momentum, and all of the things sort of like collaborate and work together.
Right.
I mean, have you found that uh, to be true for yourself?
Uh, yeah, man. There's a lot of layers to this thing, and it's kind of hard for me to even elaborate on it because this is some I'm still getting an understanding, and I don't want to say anything that might mislead somebody, or so I guess I should maybe at this point remain kind of mute on that, because I'm going through something, as far as how I look at things. I look at things a little different than I did, let's say, even a year ago, or even a month ago. So spiritually, you know what I'm saying? It's because I'm a believer, and I believe in the book we call the Bible, right? And but I have a different outlook on it than I did just say a year ago. You see what I'm saying? So I'm trying to find my way here. So I don't. Yeah. So I have to be careful with the words that I choose. You know what I mean?
Well, you're always. It seems like when we've had conversations, you're always in some. It seems like you're transitioning.
Yeah.
Like you're always kind of growing towards something and developing. And I don't think it's necessary for you to go into any kind of detail or anything. I was just sort of just something that seems to be common about you. You're always checking stuff out. You're always open to stuff. You're always trying to reinvent and get to the next thing. And that's something that, I try to be. And I think you're such a good model of that.
Well, thank you, man, for saying that. I hope to be a good steward, but yeah, man. So, but like I say, I'm just a pupil. I'm just a student, man. So, and I'm open to new ideas. You know what I'm saying? And I'm sure if I have the best understanding of life and things, in this life. So that's why I say, well, maybe I should just, if you certain things you want to talk about, but if you don't know enough, you're not that studied on certain things, it's probably best that you just keep your mouth closed. You know what I mean? But yeah, I just want to be, hopefully a good influence, a positive influence on, my family, my children, first and foremost, and any of the youth that I'm around, hope to be a positive force. And I'm just learning, man. I'm learning from you. I'm learning from all the people, everybody around me. And yeah, that's the gist of it.
Well, we're all learning from you too, man. I
You.
know I've been learning from you for a long time. Been learning from you.
Oh, sir. I gotta make sure I cross my T's and dot my I's. Wait.
Well, Dwight, thank you so much for your time and energy. I'm glad that you got some electricity
Ooh, boy.
back in the house. I know it had to be a drag. So I'm
Yeah.
glad that we could do this and everything
Yeah.
worked out.
Yeah, having me.
And again, I want to thank you for being so supportive and positive to me, uh, encouraging to me over so many years. It's
Oh,
really meant a lot.
oh, well, man, you're so welcome, man. I'm glad to be any service, but it's it's Dito, man. Likewise, brother. You know what I'm saying? Sean, you can, man. Anytime I want to get an inspiration, man, all I gotta do is I go to your page, man, and I was like, okay, I gotta get on the ball because this cat is not playing around. So yeah, man. Likewise, brother. Keep doing what you're doing, man. Appreciate you more. Absolutely.
All right, man. Well, God bless you,
My brother,
and
same to
God bless your family, man.
you too, man. Be safe. All right.
All right, now.
Next
All right.
time.
All right. Bye.